Oh yes, please, please,
Yeah.
please.
Respected Lion Dr. K.S.Rangasamy, the chairman of KSR Education Institution. Respected Vice Chairman, Mr. R. Srinivasan. Respected CEO, Dr. K. Tyagaraja. And respected Professor N.C. Shivaprakash, Department of Instrumentation from IISc Bangalore. Principals of KSR Education Institutions, other principal of PSNE, and faculty members from KSR Education Institutions, and faculty members of PSNE. So very good evening, all of you. So today we have a wonderful session from our professor, veteran professor from IISc Bangalore, because we are all worrying what we are going to do of post COVID-19. There are a lot of challenges for an academician because it is it's talk of the town and talk of the people in all the engineering colleges. Not only engineering colleges, it is the worry of all the academicians, because it also gives a lot of stress to the faculty, not only to the faculty, also to the students. How are we going to manage post COVID? So in terms of learning, in terms of assessment, how it is going to happen now after this COVID-19, because already university is giving directions, government is giving directions. So many things are now coming in day-to-day life. But now today we have a senior professor from IISc. He will be talking about, he will be helping us, he will be mentoring us. How are we going to handle this kind of situations? Because it's in a kind of disaster, very well. So I'm happy to have today, we have a senior professor from IISc Bangalore with us. He will be giving a lot of insights about how are we going to manage these kind of challenges. Now I request our CEO, Dr. K. Tyagaraja of KSR Education Institution, to welcome our professor for this wonderful webinar. Thank you. Over to Tyagarajan, sir.
So very pleasant good evening to all of you who are connected with virtually connected for the webinar. And most respected Lion Dr. K.S.Rangasamy, the founder chairman of KSR Education Institutions, the respected vice chairman, and the respected professor Dr. N.C. Shivaprakash, who had visited us as the chairman for NBA accreditation in the year 2014. The respected principal of KSR College of Technology, Dr. Krishnan, the principals of our sister institution, the principal of PSNA College of Engineering and Technology, Dr. Vasudevan, and the members of faculty, heads of department, who have joined with us for this wonderful webinar. So at the outset, on behalf of all of you, I have the pleasure in welcoming Professor Shivaprakash, who has readily agreed or readily suggested us to have a webinar on the challenges in good learning and the assessment. So thank you so much, sir, and also I welcome you for the webinar. So coming to the topic itself, it is the topic of very relevant for the day, because we are facing a lot of challenges post-COVID 2019, and also the colleges have been closed, exams are to be conducted. And not only the exams are to be conducted in future, that we are to take classes for the current semester and the forthcoming semesters for all classes as well. So I could see the challenges for all the teachers is that how best that we are going to use the information communication technology and the tools which are available to make learning better than what the classroom teaching. We have a virtual social distance between the teachers and the learners. Now we have to come closer through the virtual the platform so that we can make the learning as most important, as well as the interesting part. The one thing is that in the case of the online learning, that we need to develop a good digital content so that the students can learn both synchronously as well as asynchronously, and therefore the faculty members has to invest a little bit of time in making their content delivery of the content and good communication, and as well as a good presentation. Asynchronously, once it is loaded, the students can learn on their own pace, and therefore that learning could take place. And regarding the assessment becomes a very serious problem now, whether it's going to online mode or it is on the computer side like MCQs or on the written thing. So this part is the very important. And if you want to conduct on online, the pattern of the question papers and also the questions must be very challenging. So these are the two challenges which I see both for the faculty and making the students more interesting on the virtual platform so that this good learning should take place. Perhaps that this webinar would throw some light in the directions in which that we can go forward to make learning better, and also the assessment tools makes the students for learning much. So with these few words, I have once again I have the pleasure in welcoming Professor Shivaprakash for this webinar, and all our members of faculty and the others who have joined for this webinar. Welcome you all. Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Now it's time to introduce our today's chief guest, Professor N.C. Shivaprakash. It really gives me immense pleasure, and it's a great privilege to introduce about today's chief guest. Everybody think about I hope you heard about another analysis called SWOT analysis. But normally, instead of SWOT, now we call it as a SWOT analysis. That is what threat is become changed as a challenge. So now today the title also he has given us challenges in learning and assessment post COVID-19. So today, we have a challenging personality, Mr. Dr. P. N.C. Shivaprakash. He is working in Department of Instrumentation, IISc Bangalore. He's having more than an experience of 42 years as a research, and he holds so many positions. In fact, his area of interest are analytical instrumentation, electronic instrumentation, embedded system, and development of a high pressure DTA and its application, cryocolor and cryoabsorption pumps, and conducting polymers and OLEDs. In fact, our chief guest is born on 4th June 1955. He has completed his BSc and MSc via 1976 and 78 from Mysore University. So one thing which we have to highlight here, he completed his PG, that is MSc, with the first rank, and he also got 5 gold medals in that particular period in MSc examinations. That's really amazing, and we have a great personality here. So he also completed his PhD in 1982 from the Mysore University. He is the recipient of Young Scientist Award in the year of 1983 from Karnataka Association for Advancement of Science. Last 42 years of his research career, he contributed sustainably by publishing a lot of papers and presenting more than 170 papers in reputed international and national journals and conferences. He has completed many R&D and consultancy projects funded by DRDO, ISRO, DST, UGC, and CSIR, all the leading government agencies. He delivered many keynote addresses and invited talks at the international and national conferences. He is a fellow member of several professional bodies, including senior membership of IEEE, USA, fellow of Institution of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineers, fellow of Institution of Engineering and Technology, fellow of Instrument Society of India. He is a referee and a reviewer of many international and national scientific journals, member of Joint Review Mission of World Bank, TQIP. So it's a TQIP project, mentor and performance auditor of TQIP funded projects. Currently, he serves as a chairman, expert member in committees of MHRD, AICTE, NBA, NAC, and UGC, all the leading bodies of our country. He is a member of selection committees of many NITs and universities. He has been serving as a chairman, member of governing councils, Senate, and academic councils of universities and institutions. We have a great personality today to give a lot of insights about the learning, good learning and assessment in this great evening. So once again, I'm happy to welcome our Shivaprakash sir, Professor Shivaprakash, to this wonderful event. Thank you very much for joining here, sir. Over to you. Thank you, sir.
Can you hear me? One of you can just respond.
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir. Very much. Thank you.
Very good evening to everyone. At the outset, I would like to first thank the chairman of KSR, the vice chairman, and also CEO, along with the 3 principals, faculty, students, and the whole fraternity of KSR for giving me this opportunity to speak to all of you. My association, as Professor Tyagarajan said, started in 2014 early. I visited KSR, and I fondly called KSR as KSR has got three important ingredients: K for knowledge, S for skill, and R for reliability. So, being in a village, I must confess, even 95% of the colleges in Bangalore or Mumbai or Delhi doesn't have incubation center or the research facilities that you have at KSR. So therefore, I am very proud member of the KSR. I enjoyed not just one or two visit. I was also, given an opportunity to address the student in one of the convocation, and later, I think almost a weekly basis, we interact with Dr. Tyagarajan. He is a very dearest friend of mine. We share a lot of ideas, lot of things on education, and so I think he doesn't look like superannuated person. He is very energetic, dynamic, and he is now 5-year-old kid. So a lot of thinking that goes on in his mind. I'm sure that the KSR would go a long way, in reaching the highest possible accolades in the country. So with these few remarks, so let me share my screen, and also I must welcome our friends from PSNA College, where I am in their governing body, Dr. Vasudevan, and Professor Raghuram, the chairman of the committee, also said that our faculties also would join. So I am very, very happy to welcome all of them to this evening lecture on challenges in teaching, good learning, and assessment, especially post-COVID. So with your permissions, let me share my screen. Okay. Is it visible to everybody? Can somebody, Dr. Muthu, can endorse?
No,
can
sir.
You see? Not yet?
Not yet, sir.
No, Bangalore is far away from Tirchangood, but it should come anytime. Still not come means there is some problem. Is it visible? No.
Yes, sir, visible.
Yeah. No, the aerial route it is not taking because there are no flights right now, and so it is okay. So then I thought it's more appropriate to talk about the challenges, as Dr. Gopal Krishnan said, SWAC, last part of the strength, weakness, opportunity, and then challenges. I think we are full of challenges, and it's always good to have challenges, especially in good learning and assessment. In the technical education in particular, especially after post-COVID-19. So let me just tell you in a minute or two what are the roles of a teacher. Teacher, all of you know that the primary thing that everybody does is teaching. But today, as all of you in the new education policy also, that teaching alone will not take us anywhere. So therefore, a good amount of research, whatever the bit that we can do, it should be done. I am sure that KSR faculties have been doing, and mentoring is an important component of a teacher. In today's context, mentoring has changed the scenario. Now the students are not with you; they are there. You have to keep talking to them, and you tell them that there's no problem. You come back. You will be coming back. At the same time, give them some tips, give them some confidence. So therefore, mentoring has to play a major role in the present context. And a teacher is a reformer. He is the one who can reform and then make a career of any student who pass out from KSR. And also the teacher is also a friend. First is a philosopher and a guide. Then the student will love you so much. So therefore, the three qualities, according to me, a teacher should have are the following, namely humor, humility, and humanism. Even our Mahatma Gandhi once said, But for my humor, I would have got suicide long ago. So therefore, keep smiling, make others smile. Then everything will be all right. You don't have to go to doctor. As you know, today all doctors are, are struggling. There are no patients who would like to go in the COVID. It's good. Health has automatically improved in the society. Humility is all about giving credit. One of the chemists, Liebig, wanted to invent, I'm told, iodine, but before he could do, somebody else has invented, and happily he gave the credit. And in the bottle where he found the iodine later, he called it as chlorine and chlorine on the bottle. So that is the way I think all of us should give the credit whatever our student deserves. And humanism is extremely important. Whatever the little humanism that we can show, not necessarily in terms of money, whatever academically we can part with all kind of all students, I think we should be doing. And as a teacher, I always feel that each teacher should have a benchmarking. So therefore, what I want to be after 3 years or 5 years, in terms of, the institution need not ask the self-appraisal. That is why the reason the faculty appraisal is called self-appraisal. You appraise, you do yourself where I want to be in teaching, where I want to be in research, where I want to be in various activities that I take place as a teacher. And also that in that sense, a department which has also will be benchmarked if an individual does it, and thereby an institution also can benchmark. I'm sure that KSR and definitely will benchmark themselves, and they will do better in years to come. I always start with one little small story about think differently. In today's context, all of us have to think differently. The story goes like this. It is hypothetical and virtual. In the virtual world today, Dr. Tyagarajan has invited 5 greatest scientists to KSR. Who they are? Aristotle, Newton, Einstein, Heisenberg, and Pauli. All of you know that they are great scientists. So they were invited at KSR, and after the conference, they had a time. They were scrolling inside the campus before going for a dinner, and one of the journalists, being all foreigners, he came and then he wanted to interview. And surprisingly, journalists are always quite surprising people. He saw a chicken crossing the road across the guest house. And then the question that was asked by the journalist was, why chicken is crossing the road? Then Aristotle said, that is in nature of the chicken. So he has done his research is all about understanding the nature. And then came the turn of Newton. Newton said, if chicken is at rest, it will be at rest. If chicken is moving with velocity v, then he started deriving his F equal to ma. So the beauty of this story is, the question that is being asked is same, but each one is thinking differently. So then came the turn of our great Einstein. Einstein said, I don't know whether chicken has crossed the road or road crossed beneath the chicken, depends on frame of reference, theory of fixed frame, moving frame, theory of relativity. Then the fourth turn was our great quantum physicist, Heisenberg. He said, chicken was moving with a very, very high velocity. I could not measure it accurately. So, as all of you know, in quantum mechanics, the no two parameters can be measured accurately, uncertainty principle. Lastly, our great chemist who got the Nobel Prize, he said, who told chicken has crossed the road? There is already a chicken on the other side. As all of us know, the little chemistry that we read in the high school, no two electrons can occupy the same energy state is what we have say. So the beauty of the story is we all now have to think differently to tide over this COVID situation. And I'll come to a little more stories if time permits at the end. With this, the last story that I want to tell before really start this serious business is reputation. One of the KSR student, after his graduation, went to America. He bought a car. He drove the car, and after 10-kilometer car did not move. He called for the service. Service is so good that someone comes and he says, he is so confident because he is a graduate from KSR. He says everything is all right with the car. Then why it is not moving? You made a mistake, sir. What is the mistake? Is it that I bought a car from you, or no. Having bought a car, I gave a booklet. Have you read the first line of the booklet? He opened up and see the first line, which says, having bought the car, you have to put the petrol. So I'm very sorry, I forgot to put the petrol in the enthusiasm. But how did it manage to come 10 kilometers? He says that is the reputation of the company. Now the reputation of the KSR, for many years it has happened. Now all of us have to put energy, renewable energy, whatever that little all of us can contribute and take KSR to the greater height. So that is what the little sure you think that I am talking today, every one of you understand. And I talk about a minute about science, engineering, technology. And as all of you know, today COVID, you have lockdown 4.0, and from September 1, we have unlockdown 4.0. I don't know the relation between the 4.0 seems to be a good number today, because we have currently we are also in the area of in the era of education 4.0, and industry is also going through 4.0. So there is a synchronization from all these COVID lockdown, education, and industry. I'll be spending some 5-10 minutes on this, and then I will come to the main good learning. What are the ingredients? And today the challenge, of course, all of you know, is going to be virtual lab and conducting the online examination, and how these things can be tied over with technology is what I am going to touch upon. So therefore, let me say, I will not read all that. All of you know who the scientist is, who the engineer is, who the technologist. But I want to say, in the lighter way, people say scientists won't read and engineers won't write. But I'm sure that as a teacher, we cannot do that. We have to read as well as write. So therefore, the message that I want to give in this year is, the same car example, if I want to give, the car will not come onto the road unless we understand the basic science behind the braking system, air conditioning, and so many other aspects. And then an engineer goes to a drawing board, and finally the technologist brings the car. So therefore, all the scientists, engineers, and engineering technologists are important. We must produce good engineers, good scientists, and good technologists from KSR. So it will not be out of place if I say what COVID is. COVID in biological term is different, but in my own term, COVID is nothing but create opportunity for victory in disaster. That is what I feel. In this disaster, we should create opportunity. As a teacher, I think lot more things can be done than what we used to do. Just to tell you, as all of us are very, very familiar with BC and AC, BC is before Christ and AC is after Christ. But today, after COVID, which we have not seen in our lifetime, I am told once in 100 years it happens, and our previous pandemic like this was in 1918. Flu was there in 1918. So therefore, I would like to call from this 2020 onwards, before 2020, I call it as before Corona, and after 2020, I would like to call it as before Corona and then after Corona. So this is the new terminology for BC and AC. I think now we have to get into the new Corona, AC, not alternate current, after Corona era. So I promise that I would spend a minute or two about education 4.0. If you can recollect, all of you know that about 30-40 years ago, mere lecturing was going on and memorization was used to take place. In fact, it is not out of place to say, when I was studying in my graduation, my teacher used to always have a habit of holding the new notes in his hand. And one day, one of the page that he brought was missing, and he said, "Sorry, I don't have, my health is not all right. I will take class tomorrow." So therefore, that was the scenario in the first education 1.0, just a routine lecturing and then memorization. But later in education 2.0, the internet, enabled learning has started with, and a lot of open source things started coming. And in the education 3.0, we all thought that education should lead to knowledge. So therefore, the third era of the education is knowledge producing education. And today, as all of you know, that education expects us to be innovative. So therefore, today's education 4.0 is all about innovation producing education. So this is how education is evolved over the years, and parallelly the industry has grown from 1.0 to 2.0, 3.0 and 4.0. If you can recollect, early days of 19th century, we used to have only machines which are either could run by water or by steam. But later in 20th century, you can started seeing the railway engine, the movement, things, mass productions and things like that started. But in education, in industry for 3.0, thanks to our electronics and IT, the things have started becoming autonomous, mass production, all these things have happened. But today in 4.0, all of you know, it is a cyber physical system. Anything that you talk, IoT and all that time, at the end of it, for some 5 to 8 minutes, I'll spend about these technologies. So the why I brought these two concepts in my today's lecture is, I think we cannot do away without education 4.0 and industry 4.0. So therefore, we have to change ourselves and make our student to learn and prepare our student who can get into the industry 4.0. And just a minute on ACT, not that all of you know about it, but the mandates of ACT, the ACT itself will go in the new education policy. We talk about Higher Education Council. So as of today, the ACT says there should be an induction training. So for student, I would say even for faculty, faculty also needs an induction program, because the new education policy envisages that like a B.Ed, what we have, a conventional education, B.Ed should be there for all other technical, medical and other parts of the education. So therefore, induction program, my suggestion to KSR is, I don't think in the COVID we can do 3 weeks. We may not be able to offer the admission. Admission is already got delayed. So therefore, I think since being your autonomous, you can do the induction program in the next 4 months over Saturday, Sunday, like, in the virtual world and so on. And the revision of curriculum is important, as all of you know. It should be dynamic, which you have been doing. Training of the faculty, there are platforms which I will talk about later. Of course, all of you are familiar with Swayam. I'm sure that many of you, and I would even advise that every faculty should do one Swayam in their domain every year. That is how I think we have to adapt ourselves in the new era of teaching, online teaching and blended mode of teaching and flip-flop classrooms and so on. Mandatory internship, all of you know, which is happening, and one semester in most of the good institutions in the country is being used for internship for the student to go to industry. If those who cannot go, certainly they can do in the institution itself. But I would like to add here, mandatory internship is also required for a teacher. I would urge all the faculty to at least spend a week time, Monday to Friday at least, in some industry of your own choice, your own interest, so that you will get a lot of research problems, industrial problems to be part with your students of BTech, MTech, and for your own research. And then industry, interaction would definitely lead to good ideas, idea to product to patent to intellectual property, and so on. So therefore, I'm sure that that culture is already there in KSR, and please see that young faculties are also involved in this. Industry readiness is important. Examination reports are going to happen. Online exam is out of the day. Promoting the innovation startup. I already said that one of the best innovation incubation center that you have created, with 3D printing, with all that. I think I was impressed, and I'm sure that during my last visit, when I visited, I'm sure that you have added much more today, and many startups must have already come. And mandatory accreditation, I'm sure, I know that you are into the game already, but I would like to see that even KSR in the next 5 years, even to go for international accreditation, and you have all those ingredients. So now let me start today's talk. So therefore, the good start is very important. As you know, in the Olympic, in a 100-meter run, in a race, if you even miss not 1 second, you will lose your gold medal. So therefore, this is a time all of us should be ready. From this academic year, we have to get started with a new approach for everything that we do henceforth. So I always fond of role model Sir C.V. Raman. As all of you know, Sir C.V. Raman was the first Indian to have become the director of Indian Institute of Science, which is about 110-year-old. And in 1933, he joined physics and then become the first director. And then those are the days he was telling these statements in 1940s and 50s. What he was saying about the quality of the education those days, which is true also even today in many front. Students of today are being taught by teachers of yesterday with the curriculum which is of day before yesterday. I don't think we can do that. We have to be abreast. We have to change ourselves. We have to teach. The teacher has to be, in today's context, whatever I am, I must change my curriculum. I must change my style of teaching and so on. So the learning, one of the research says, the learning, if you want to do, you can see and learn, you can hear and learn, and so on, taste and learn, and so on. Now, what is important, it's all right that you learn, but how much is retained? That is more important. Retention is extremely important in the present context. If you are giving a virtual classroom, how do you retain? How do you make your student to retain whatever you talk? So therefore, the general research says 10% you can retain by reading, 20 by hearing, and finally you can see, hear, do, discussion. All these things will make you retain many things. So therefore, we have to adapt ourselves into a new scenario in the online teaching to incorporate all these things. So just a minute about what an engineer is. When we produce engineers, so according to me, an engineer should have four things to do. The number one, as an engineer, you should learn. That is important. And learning alone will not make him engineer. Therefore, engineer is for doing the practical seminar, internship, all those things. Today, is important. And how do we tide over the situation in the COVID? I will be speaking in the later part of my talk. And as an engineer is for living. You should be proud. I am a graduate of KSR, and therefore you should self-esteem. I am doing this job. That is important. And lastly, as an engineer, he is for society. All of you know, September is an important thing. I forgot to tell in the beginning, today is 3rd September. All of you know, in the next 2 days, we have a Teacher's Day. 5th September, we remember our Radha Krishna. So therefore, I wish in advance all of you to a very happy Teacher's Day. And also September is known for another important day, which is 15th September. All of you know that's the day our Sir M. Visheshwaraya born. So therefore, Engineers Day is important. Science Day, C.V. Raman, 28th of February invention. So Science Day, Engineers Day, and Technology Day and Teachers Day are a very important component in any educational institution. I'm sure that KSR is doing that. So I thought of, before getting into the today's context, I just want to spend some 5 minutes to put you in the perspective what outcome-based education is. Since all of you know very well, I will not spend dwell on this. But as all of you now by now know that KSR has got a vision, KSR has got a mission. Each department has a vision and mission, and like that, India has a vision. As all of you know, India, ISRO that we have in India is also has a vision, and therefore today we can be proudly say we are in the nuclear club, space club. And we are proud because ISRO, when it was done, 104 satellite about a year of 1.5 years ago, 96 of them from USA. So that is what Great India is all about. And people say if you want to go for academics, go to America. If you want adventure, go to Australia. And if you want to innovate something, be in India. The I, India, first letter is I is for innovation. Therefore, lot of things I think we can do being in India. So missions are clear to all of you. PEOs are, the vision is a broader statement. Vision is a broader statement. PEOs are broad statement. So therefore, if you anything meaningful, if you want to measure, all of you know that there are program outcomes which they call as a graduate attributes in elsewhere in the other part of the country, and PSO, program specific outcome, and course outcome. So these are all important components that in your outcome-based education, which I am sure that all of you are following. Let me spend about a minute to recollect what those graduate attributes. As you can see from in the slide, there are 5 things that I put in red, which is like a 5 pillars in learning, in acquiring the graduate attributes. So namely engineering knowledge, problem analysis, design, solving complex problem, modern tool. I'm sure that most of the curriculum that we teach, or what we do, theory, practical, and various other things that we do, definitely will map with these 5 very, very significantly. But in addition to this, our accreditations, our graduates should acquire other 7, which are nothing but engineers and society, environment and sustainability, ethics, individual and teamwork, communication, project management and finance, lifelong learning. So therefore, the engineers where they graduate from our institution should be lifelong learner. That is where we have to prepare them. And all these ingredients, directly or indirectly, either through course or by seminar or by co-curricular or by extracurricular or by arranging lectures, even today's webinar. So therefore, you should be able to achieve these things, though they don't correlate as heavily as the first 5 is. So I'm sure that all the 12 graduate attributes are extremely important. Now let me come to the good learning. So if you take a triangle, as you know, there are 3 corners, and therefore the learning also has got 3 components. One is instructional strategies. So what do you mean by enhance the learning? So one corner is of the 3 is strategy, instruction. Every day when I go to class as a teacher, I must tell what I have learned last class in 2 minutes, and at the end of the class I must tell all our students what did we learn today. So this is a good culture. And also you should have a strategy. How do I tell? How do I take care of a heterogeneous group of students? Some students are fast learner, some students are slow learner. So that is a challenge for a teacher, especially an institution like KSR. It is not, that is a challenge that all of us have to take and then make them. So therefore we should have strategy. Let me spend some time on this. What are the strategies that all of you can adopt? And the teaching alone will not complete the learning. So therefore the second important part, and is the second corner of your triangle, is assessment. Assessment is very, very important. And now, as all of you know, assessment is going to be of a different nature post-COVID. So let us spend some time on that. And finally, whatever the strategy that we adopt for learning and the assessment that we do will lead to outcome. So therefore, this is the basic principle of the outcome-based education. So let me say, and let us try and understand what learning is. All of you know, learning is all about acquiring new knowledge, behavior, new skill, new values, and new understanding. This is all what happens in our journey of learning. So therefore, what is good learning? Good learning takes place when learners are clear about what they should be able to do at the end of each unit, or each semester, or each year, or at the end of the 4 years. So therefore, this is where the outcome is expected, and we all should. So I will not spend on this again. The last line of this slide says alignment among the instruction, assessment, and outcome is important. This is basically what I said in the previous slide, is in a descriptive form. Now let us spend a couple of minutes on what is outcome. All of you know an outcome is what the learner will be able to do or perform as a result of some experience. So in this context, I will, since all of you are very, very familiar with that, the outcomes are important for all the stakeholders, be it your parent, be it your employer, be it your, the regulatory bodies, government, everyone, is, that's why your board of studies, in your institutions will have alumni, you have your people from academia, people from industry, and so on. So again, all of you are very, very familiar with, Bloom is a great man. It goes with Bloom taxonomy. In 1955, he said that learning takes place in 3 domains. What are they? Cognitive domain, affective domain, and psychomotor domain. But all of us by now know that all engineering program that we have, most of it will go into a cognitive method. And what is cognitive? The cognitive, according to Bloom, is all about the learning takes place in 6 different levels. What are they? Remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. So therefore, some of the things that you have to bound to remember. The first law of thermodynamics, there is no shortcut, you have to mug up. So therefore, the concepts have to be made very clear in the first level of Bloom level. And the second level of Bloom level is whatever you remember, you have to understand them and comprehend. So therefore, you should be able to explain the concepts and ideas. And later, as all of you know, whatever we remember, understand, in engineering, we should apply. for a new situation. And then having applied, the next stage of the Bloom taxonomy is analyze. We should be able to connect the ideas and so on. And finally, we have to evaluate. That is, judging the value of the information or justify the stand that decision that we take of whatever we do, whatever we design, whatever we solve the problem. And finally, as all of you know, the sixth Bloom level is to produce new or original work. The project that students do, all these things will be there, and the higher semester electives also could lead to the creativity. So therefore, one point I want, my experience says wherever I go, now the teacher thinks I have 6 units. First unit is remember, second unit is understand, third unit is apply, fourth unit is analyze. This is something wrong notion. Something you are teaching in the first year, what you do is that most of the higher level Bloom taxonomy will not come. When you go to the higher 7th semester, 8th time, the course that I teach will have dominantly higher level. So therefore, all the persons, I will give 1 or 2 example in another 5 minutes so that it will become more clearer to you. So then, let me say what is learning promotes. See, when we say, how do we know that he has learned? So that happens, that we can measure by say, the existing knowledge is activated with the foundation of the new knowledge. So anything somebody gets a new knowledge, their learning is successful. But just not successful only by new knowledge. So this new knowledge also is demonstrated to the learner. That is where the theory alone will not take you anywhere in the engineering, and therefore we should do a lot of experimental. Almost a good institution across the globe, they spend 50% of the time for the tutorial and then theory. Another 50% they do practical. When I was in Germany, I saw a lab where there are no 12 experiments which are given. I asked why only 4 students are there. So there, the student is given to do 12 experiments wherever he likes, whatever the area he likes. So that kind of a thing. But unfortunately, at the moment, we will not be able to do because of the number game. So the new knowledge that is demonstrated, that's not the end of the learning. So the new knowledge is applied to the learner by the learner. So this is the third stage. That's what I was telling. Engineer is learning, engineer is doing. So finally, the new knowledge is integrated in the real learner's world. Real-time application you should take, case studies you should take, and then explain to others. So now, I skip 1 or 2. So now I told you that in the triangle, there are 3 parts. One is the teaching strategy. The second one is your assessment. Third, finally, will be outcome. So let me spend about the first corner of the triangle that I spoke, namely the strategy. So some of the strategy that which I am going to list, which is not non-exhaustive, all of you can keep on adding. As a teacher, you have your own innovative teaching. So all of you know by now, engineering is all about problem-based learning and project-based learning. That is important. That strategy all of us should adopt while doing teaching. The second one is hands-on learning. I'm teaching a course of 5 years, 10 years. I learned a lot of things. I interact with industry. So therefore, the examples that I'll be giving. So hands-on experience that I gain should be utilized in teaching. The next one is experiential teaching. Basically same. The experience that I have of 10 years, 15 years, I must, every year definitely I will be improving my learning. Why I am saying learning is a teacher is a first learner. Then only you can make the student learner. So internship experiences, that is where the things are happening. The student should be made industry ready. So therefore, internship. I would want to add one word here. I like KSR to follow that. I mentioned that everybody should go to industry of their own choice once in a year, a week's time. That is where the industrial experience for teacher is also important. And flipped classroom blended. All of you know the flipped classroom is outside. 9 to 5:30 when you do. Now learning is go beyond Saturday, Sunday, evenings and so on. Online teaching is what we mean by blended is combination of online, offline. For instance, this semester, let us say next 2 months, nothing will happen. You may have to teach. You do it online. When the student come back in November, you do on campus. So therefore, this is you have to blend now the teaching in many ways. And some other strategies is co-curricular. The tech fest that you do also can have some focal theme and make them student presence and learns many. So that experience also will definitely help in the strategizing their learning. And I will skip the assessment because I'm going to speak again later. So therefore, active and cooperative learning is important. How do we make them? there is one strategy today that people are adopting is think, pair and share. What it means is you make some 3-4 student a group, one fast learner, one medium and then one slow learner. That is what we call as a pair of the group, and then give some idea, they will share among them, they will think among them, and then this is called peer instruction. So a peer, this IIT Bombay successfully implemented this. So peer, a teacher telling sometimes the student won't like it. The parents definitely they won't like it. So a friend telling first, what they do in IIT Bombay is student in 3rd and 4th year they have got an aptitude for teaching. They will be given student mentoring for 2-3 student of 1st year, 2nd year. So thereby definitely the slow learners can be brought into the the right signal. So as I promised, I will give you just another 2-3 minutes to spend a typical outcome. How do we attain? Because in the outcome-based education, this is important. So therefore, I am taking an example of a computer science randomly, and it's about data structure. As you can see from this, there are 6 outcomes a teacher has written. First one is comprehend different operations on various data structure, array, stack, and so this is CO1, which all of you know comprehend is understand, and which is a second level of Bloom taxonomy. And the second CO that he has written is apply the linear data structure and non-linear data structure. This is second CO for solving whatever. So this is apply. This is the third Bloom level. And like this, I will not read. CO3 is on analyze, and CO4 conduct some experiments. CO5 to make effective oral communication. You know, some of the graduate attribute, and the teacher wants to embed that in this course. So CO5, if you look at it, make effective oral communication on the advanced topic of it. So while teaching the data structure, you will try to give some topic to the student, and you will find a method of evaluating that. That is the beauty of assessment. And CO6, as you can see, a design solution for application of using appropriate data structure. So this is example where you can see a different Bloom level, whatever the semester that the teacher teaches. Now I will come back to the attainment later. Let me tell you, having now understood what is a learning, what are the ingredient characteristic of a learning, and what are the strategies of learning, let me say spend little time on assessment. Wherever I go, when I ask a teacher what is the difference between assessment and evaluation, most of the time I get an answer, both are same. But what they are not. Assessment is a measure of performance. Suppose you do sessional and final. Let us say you have in the sessional marks in your autonomous, let us say 50 marks. What I do is I will design my assessment tools. I will have 2 tests. They are 2 of assessment tool. Test 1, test 2. I will conduct 2 quiz 1, quiz 2, and I will give 2 assignment. So these 6 basically are called the assessment. The 50 marks I divide, therefore, and I measure the performance. And finally, this evaluation is nothing but an interpretation of the assessment. So 50 marks that he has, and finally, and 100 marks, finally I will grade him. Out of this, he will get A++, A grade. This is what the evaluation is all about. So therefore, assessment drives the student learning. Without assessment, student will never learn. Audit course, that is the reason why anything that they audit, they will not learn. Therefore, ACT has introduced what is known as mandatory learning courses. Something that you think that they should learn, but they are not part of the credit. But what you can do is you can conduct an exam, one at the end, and if anybody scores more than 45 or 50 marks, you show in the transcript as an autonomous college, he has learned that, so that will have a value to him. This is what we can, in the autonomous institutions for the UGC, can give certification. He has learned this. I am sure that you must be doing, and also diploma can be given in the new education policy. Even the existing 2018 UGC, I think we should start giving, and later, as all of you in the new education policy, and in the next 15 years, countries, is looking for every institution should be a degree giving institution. Let us hope for that. In another 15 years, a long way to go, and a lot of challenges will be there. So therefore, assessment is very important, and I must tell before I start my class what are the methods of assessment. Because I tell you, one of the US, I was there in Canada, a teacher doesn't do test assignment, and finally he will take, at the end, he will spend about 45 minutes with each student and then evaluate. As all of you know, IIT Bombay, they did not conduct the final examination. The teachers were given a freedom to evaluate them. So they spoke to them, they gave some assignment online, they had a viva. So therefore, a good institution like yours also can adapt. So the assessment tool, teacher assessment tool, student assessment tool, and so on. I'm sure that you must be adapting those things already in your thing. If there are more tools can be included, I'm more than happy to. So now this assessment have some characteristic, validity and reliability. So degree to which the assessment measures is what is expected. Validity is important, it cannot be a random assessment. And reliability, I'm just going to give example. GRE that is being conducted all over the globe, the score is valid for 5 years. And I will illustrate you how they have arrived at it. So therefore, reliability is very, very important. And at this point, I will not get into the detail. In the assessment, there are two types basically. One is called formative assessment. The second one is called summative assessment. Formative assessment is all about your sessional, the continuous evaluation, what you call it. And summative is what you conduct at the end of the year, 3 hours. So therefore, the problem in we have to validate and also reliability. Now, let me give you, if you want to do that, now I taught a class. So what is important for a teacher is setting the question paper. I'll just give one instance here, not that the whole 1 hour can be spent on this, but the difficulty level of the question paper is very, very important. So therefore, as I told about Bloom level, I just, the same complexity I can also do. Let's say I want to give a question, generic, not about engineering, what is the capital of Tamil Nadu? In the Bloom level 1, remembering. So they will remember what is the capital of Tamil Nadu. Now you want to make that complex. What you can do is, India has got 31 states. You can give a question, please write the capitals of all 30 states of India. So therefore, the Bloom level is same, but you have made it complex. So this is how I think all of us should mature and then set the question paper in the autonomous system. So then finally, I was mentioning, you remember that all the Bloom level cannot be achieved by one course. If that is the case, there is no purpose of 4 years and 40 course, theory, practical, and so on. So suppose, as I mentioned, I gave another example where higher semester, if you are teaching, 60% can be an apply and lower Bloom level can be 40%. So just to illustrate this, before illustrating, let me also talk about question bank, which is going to be it will play a very major role post-COVID. I think we should start doing our quiz assignment, exam, test, midterm, everywhere. I think we have to create question bank. Possibly you must have done. If so, you keep on adding. And also I will tell you in the next slide, these question banks, how much it will help and how do we do it, how the software tools will make us, use this. Otherwise, if you take 2-3 years question paper, if they repeat, the student will cheat, will know how the question paper would be. So therefore, in the assessment, let me spend a minute or two. Technology is very important. So there are so many. I promised that why GRE is so good. All of you are very, very familiar with MCQ. All that MCQ is, we know how to set a question paper with multiple choice question with A, B, C, D. And most of the question paper I see when I audit, A is A, B, C, D. If it doesn't have time, teacher says none of the above. That's not a good practice. Number one, I have written MSQ. MS is multiple selection question. In the GRE, if you look at it, the question, if you have a question, some questions will have all 4 answers right. Some questions, no answer is right. In some question, 1 answer is right. In some question, 3 answers are right. This is the beauty of MSQ. That is where today GRE is so validated, and the score that you do, a student of this year, next to next year, or previous year, they all can be put into one platform in the judgment. So that is how I think we should mature in the assessment while doing. As all of you know, there are so many tools are available: Google Classroom, Moodle, Turnitin, and so on. I'm sure that since you are using today the Microsoft Teams, G Suite, and then Microsoft Teams allows you to do teaching. There are plenty of things. At the end, if any one of you have question, you can. I was hearing a lecture yesterday by Microsoft. Even Moodle, if a teacher has prepared, there is a way that they want to adopt by 15 September in the Microsoft team how to embed the Moodle into this. So those things are also happening. So therefore, assessment, Turnitin is another plagiarism software. It not only allows the similarity test, but also it will give an opportunity for a teacher to evaluate. So there are so many things we can build. So I am sure, and only my suggestion to the KSR is, you please try to use one platform across the whole institute and all the campuses, so that your finally when you want to do at the end of a result analysis, it will become easy. Otherwise complexities have come. I have seen 2 days ago, one of the Bangalore college, one student has failed in one of the semester, his results are messed up because of the different platforms. So I think platforms, we have to be very careful in choosing these. And today, Proctor, I will talk about that. Proctor based online exams also are possible. So let me talk about that. So before I move on to that, let me give an example where it becomes clear to all my young colleagues at KSR and PSNA. Continuous evaluation, let's say you have 50 marks allotted in your autonomous, it may be 40, 60, whatever. Then example that I'm giving is 50. As I told you, again, the data structure course that I take, and as you can see in the first column, CO1 to CO6. CO1, the Bloom level is understanding, CO2 understanding, the rest of them are apply. And the allotment that I do and tell my student is the following. I do 2 tests for 15 each, 2 quiz for 5 each, and 2 assignment for 5 each. So as you can see, what I do while doing the CO1, I conduct my first test maybe after 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then I will set a question paper 15 marks. As you can see, first question from CO1, understanding level. CO2, another question with 5 marks with understanding, and CO3, another question with apply. So this is how I make sure that whatever I teach, all Bloom levels are covered, and I also assess them. Then only the attainment is meaningful. The second test I will do somewhere later, as you all of you know, and my second test will have questions on CO4, CO5. As you can see, 15 marks, I divide them into 7 and 8. And in the CO4, I will give 2 questions. Question number 1A will have 2 marks on the understanding level and 5 marks on application. And similarly, on CO5, 2 marks on understanding, 6. So this is how a teacher will decide what are the COs, how do I test, what are the questions, and I will tell my student in it. And I will conduct the quiz. Quiz, as all of you know, can only do in the Bloom level, first Bloom level remembering. So 5 marks I will give quiz for CO1, CO2, and later another quiz later on CO4, CO5 in the remembering level for 2 and 3 marks. And assignment that I will give you in the somewhere in the middle for about 5 marks. 1 mark on remembering, 3 on understanding, another 1 mark on remembering on CO2, CO2, 3, CO4. And lastly, I will give last assignment at the end, before end of the final exam, the 5 marks I will give on CO6. Now you can see from this, as a teacher, I wrote my COs, I taught, and I set the question paper, and finally I will I'll see how much I have attained. This is the beauty of the outcome-based education. Now I give just a minute about the EndSum exam. As all of you know, EndSum is done for 100 marks. I don't go into the detail. Again, 6 COs, understanding and apply. If you can see and add all the item A, first, the first one, CO1, I have divided into 6 and 4, 10 marks, another 10 for CO2, and if you count all of them, it will become 100 marks. So you also tell in student how do you give 100 marks and things like that. There are a second scenario also as a view. So since all of you are very familiar with this, let me not spend. Now let me say something about rubrics. All of you, we talk about it. Let us try and understand what the rubric means. Rubric is an important tool for assessment. For theory and all that, you may not adopt this, especially when you are doing a project assessment, seminar assessment, and things like that, internship. I think you have to write a rubrics. Otherwise, it becomes a scheme. What do I mean by scheme is, all of you are very familiar. When I give a question paper, I have to give a scheme. Out of 10 marks, 2 marks. If your student answered this much, I give 2 marks, and so on. That is called scheme. But rubric is different. I think in a minute or two, I will be explaining to you what rubrics means. So the best example that I can take for rubrics is the project. Let us say that a project, I take some 10 features or 10 parameters, and then I will allot 5 marks. Then it will become 50 marks. Now I take again of these 10 first feature, in that 5 marks, I have to divide that 5 marks into 5 components, namely 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So therefore, 5 I will call it as excellent, 4 I will call it as very good, 3 is good, and so on. So the student must know when he gets 5, when he gets 4, when he gets 3, and so on. Otherwise, students are not motivated, and also assessment will not become sure. So let me illustrate this with an example. Let us say a project in which, as all of you know, there are parameters or features. One is problem definition. This is important. Literature survey, methodology, design, testing, presentation, technical writing, teamwork, ethical, environment. This environmental ethical can change from project to project. Therefore, all the project in a section of 60 or 4 student or 15 project can be segregated. And so therefore, in the beginning, I think all faculty in the department should come together and then form a rubrics. So therefore, let me give one example again on data structure. So I told you that when your project, the student must know when he gets. Let's say I take a parameter, first one, approach to the problem. So the approach to the problem is allotted 5 marks. So a student will get 5 marks, which I call it as excellent. When does he get it? When he implements most appropriate data structure with accurate and organized logic. A student who does all this will get 5 out of 5 for this. And suppose a student implement the right data structure with correct logic, but it is not optimized, then you can give 4 marks. So like this, all of you should debate when you give a project in the department and then write. This is what the rubrics are. So this is the final point of the rubrics. Let's say I give another example too, the correctness of the algorithm. So student has developed the algorithm. The next thing that it does is that algorithm has to be tested. So what I do in this parameter, again 5 marks, I will divide them like this. If this algorithm, what he wrote, is applicable to all the cases, you will get 5 out of 5. If this algorithm is valid for about 75% of the cases, 75 marks. So he gets 4 marks. 50%, 3 marks, and so on. So lastly, report writing also is important. If all the format, content, reference, everything, you will get 5 out of 5. So this is what you should, is what we call it as rubrics. I think definitely for project, definitely for internship, definitely for seminars, you should come out with the rubrics of this type by our, by my institute, I would call it KSR, and of course my friends from PSNA also. So what I said so far is the following. One is, assessment when you do, as you know that the challenge is you have 6 Bloom level, you have to set the question paper. Suppose I want to set the question paper remembering level, MCQ question, true, false, matching, fill up the blank, short, they are all okay. If you go to the understanding level, then you have to go a little higher. So the question should be on simulation, animations, and tutorial that you conduct. The next level of applying can have MCQ along with that short answer, tutorial, simulation, game, case studies. And finally, analyze, evaluate can have questions like on virtual lab and simulation, presentations, case studies. So this is how we make the Bloom taxonomy level. You can set the question. So whatever I said so far is in this code. As you know, there is a vision which you don't see. It is in the somewhere in the small invisible dot. Is a product statement. Missions are written in the department. PO. Of course, in this I have not written PSO. So the exercise that I am giving to all the teacher is this cone also introduce the PSO. So therefore, in essence, this very specific statement, COs that a course that you teach, a lab that you do, seminar that you do, even the co-curricular activity, tech fest, lecture, all these things, you have comes under the outcome of the course. These course outcomes are mapped to PO, to CO, so this is very important in the outcome-based education. So therefore, let me now go to the other part. Before that, I have always Einstein always says, I never try to teach my students anything. I only try to create an environment where they can learn. This is all what we have to do in the post-COVID. Today, we have to create an ambient environment, make them comfortable. This is all the teacher job is. Now, if you do that, according to me, the teachers are of 5 types. One is a mediocre teacher, which tells, he reads something and go vomits in the class next day. Then the second type of a teacher is the one who explains. That is where, Bloom level that you have seen. The perfect teacher demonstrates. A gifted teacher inspires. A modern teacher facilitates. I want all KSR and PSNA teachers to belong to the group 4, group 5. A gifted teachers are a modern teacher. That is what I think the aim of my Now, in a funny way, this is what used to go on long ago. There was a teacher sitting there, and a student, right from crow to monkey to penguin to elephant and so on, and he is giving one assignment. The assignment the teacher is giving to all the student is, all of you go and climb the tree. If you go to the top, I'll give you 5 in my rubrics. If you go to somewhere, you get 4, and if you are on the ground, you get only 1. And the elephant says, I can't climb the tree. But a teacher cannot give different assignments. So therefore, at the end of the assignment, the elephant gets 1 mark, monkey gets 5 marks. The monkey is the fast learner, elephant, what. So therefore, the moral of the story is, you must have a same assessment tool for all the teachers. So in essence, what I spoke so far is all, there is a paradigm shift. What it means is, a written examinations will be converted into coursework. A tutor-led assessment will go to student-led assessment. Implicit, what we talk today, will all become explicit. Competitions will become collaborations. Product assessment will become process assessment. Objectives, broader, will become outcomes, very narrower statement. Content, what we talk in our curriculum, will become, we have to achieve competencies. Course assignment will become modular assignment. Advanced levels will become assessed prior learning. This is going to be the paradigm shift in the post-COVID. So therefore, the innovative teaching, as I mentioned so far, is problem solving, open discussions during the tutorial, acquaintance with the real world problems, namely case studies, cooperative learning, project-based learning, and then student presentations and so on. These are the ingredients which I am sure that you have been following, and please do continue to follow and add few more into this in years to come. And you know that as a teacher, you should do MOOC course. I would advise that I think I told you that every teacher should do one MOOC course in NPTEL or Coursera, wherever he thinks, and then he learns how to teach in a better way of teaching and innovative way of teaching. So this and finally, I'll skip some of them. Anyway, today education, as you know, in the new education policy, knowledge alone will not take, as in KSR itself, I told you K is for knowledge and S is for skill. So therefore, an education should lead to 4 important components: knowledge, know-how, wisdom, and character. What is knowledge? To understand the basic principle of formal and non-formal education. That's not the end of the road. So know-how is to do things rightly. As an engineer, what is the right thing to do? Wisdom, to set the priority to work, which is extremely important. And character is to make trustworthy and respectable member of the society. I told you, as an engineer, self-esteem and contributing to society is extremely important. Wherever you are, whatever, as a scientist, an engineer, teacher, or whatever the job that you do. So I will again, skip for want of time, but just one slide I will tell you how to win over the situation. As I already told you so far, we have to shift to online blended learning. Assessment is going to change. So we have to consider flipped classrooms. Split classrooms also is going to be, because Government of India may say a class size can be 30. In shifts we have to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, 30 students can come and they can learn on the other day at home. So many other ways by which you should find out, the thing. And innovative pedagogy, critical thinking is what you have to imbibe. Problem solving, reasoning, creativity, imagination, innovation, entrepreneur. I'm sure that all these things are ingredients are very important in today's context of technical education, and therefore I'm sure that you must be adopting this. And I will again, all these slides I've already sent to Dr. Muthu, and I think, and I request Muthu to give all this slide to everybody. And that is the incentive that I want to give to all my colleagues. If anything useful, please do use it. Now, what all I said is, now the trends are changing. One is diverse time and diverse place. Diverse time, of course, if somebody is giving a talk in America, is for him in the morning, in the evening you can hear. Diverse place. Now today talk, I'm in Bangalore. Some people are in Dindugal, some are in Madurai, some are in Tiruchengood, and so on. So therefore, that is going to be the order of the day. Personalized learning is going to be there. I will tell you, spend little time about this when I talk about AI for a minute or two, and about free choice. Of course, that is important in the new education policy, choice based. And the question that is asked, is it choice is given to student? I think we must. Project based, field experience, data interpretation, exam definitely is going to change. Student ownership and mentoring definitely will become more important, as I told you in the very beginning. Now I am not going to explain this slide. It's very self-explanatory. The one which you see on the left is lifelong learning. If you want to do various things, with a paradigm shift in the 21st century, you have to acquire soft skill, not just student, even teachers, creativity have to come in. So please go through this yourself. It will tell you what are all. Again, let me spend a minute or two about AICT platform. As all of you know, there is an Atal platform, that is AICT teaching and learning. Those are the days when 30-40 years ago we used to travel all the way from here to Delhi for a winter school to learn, stay there for 2 weeks in the hostel. Now I think learning can take place wherever you are. So therefore you are all blessed one now. So that you can use ARPIT. ARPIT is also annual refresher program in technology, which is there in the ACT. So the course that you like, you can go and learn. NEET is another platform which has come recently. It is all about National Education Alliance for the Technical Education. As all of you know that many industries have come forward to create this, where virtual labs have been created. They want to give this free to some of the 25% of the student. And some industries also want to give for 100%. I think we should explore. Teachers and students should go to NEET and then see what is available. Swayam is already, all of you are very familiar. Smart India Hackathon, Margadarshak, and NAD is about depository of all the graduates in India in that. So therefore, many more are there. So now whatever I spoke is all I think about what we teach, what we do lab, what we in a lab I didn't say. So therefore, now the challenge is the conducting the labs and conducting the online exam. All of you know that there is a website called www.vlab.co.in in all domain, chemical, physics, our chemical, civil, mechanical, electrical, computer, all works. If you go to IITs and COEP and few more good institutions in the country are created. So my suggestion would be following. One is, now that if two things that can be done, your curriculum itself in the 4th semester, whatever the way you are teaching last year cannot be done, because 2 months you may have to do online, where a lot of experiments you cannot conduct, but you can expose them to the virtual lab which is created. Please map your list of experiment with available VLab, and I have seen all of them are very good. Especially simulation experiment, there is no problem. Some experiments definitely you cannot conduct. You may have to wait for the student to come. Otherwise, what I advise is, if some 2-3 students are there in, let us say, Tiruchengold, where it's safe region, they can come to your lab. They can, with all social distancing, etc., they can conduct the experiment. You can record like a lecture the experiment that they conduct. You can conduct, all those things also can put into your VLab. You can create in your KSR and PSNA, and then you can make other students to learn. These are all the ingredients. I think we have to be innovative and then take care ourselves in creating lab. Online exam, there is no shortcut. We all have to adapt. There, all the tools are there, technologies which I will be speaking in a couple of minutes. So finally, I want to say, before I get to the other part of technology, let me say whatever I said so far about learning, about assessment, and now about the evaluation, and finally about virtual labs and so on. The 10 skills that expected in 2020 by the graduates are the very first one. Some of them are repetitive in 15 and 16, but the order has changed. If you can see, the first thing that they expect, in Industry 4.0. That's why I told you in the beginning, Education 4.0 should correlate with, in sync with the Industry 4.0. So complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management, coordinating with others, etc., etc. The last one is cognitive flexibility. That what you have to bring in. So this is what he expected. Now, I promise that I will be talking in a little time about the technology. As all of you know, the equation that I have written is not valid. No one will accept even the primary school. IT plus ITE equal to IT. But what I meant when I write this equation is the following. First IT is information technology yesterday plus information technology today equal to information technology tomorrow. So that is where we are moving. As all of you know, we had an era of information technology has gone to biotechnology. Now today, geotechnology. Geoinformatics, bioinformatics are out of the day. So today's research, what you do is tomorrow's technology. As all of you know, the technologies are very, very important in Indian context, especially in agriculture, food security, health. We need to find some drug even in the COVID. Infrastructure is an area where a lot of things, opportunities in India, climate change, and so on. So therefore, what I'm going to say is, I will just list out the possibly in the next slide, what are the technologies that are available, which all of you are familiar. And let me say, this is not exhaustive. This is what I picked up some 8, 10, but otherwise there are many other technologies are also available in other works of engineering. The first one is AI, artificial intelligence. As all of you know, AI can be used in education, very much in today's context. AI is used today for personalized teaching, learning. AI is used for proctor system in examination. AI is used in medicine for diagnosis. AI is used in medicine for, say, even for surgery. So therefore, this technology will go. Why I'm listing all this is the boundary across all these engineering discipline will go. We may not have after 5 years physics, chemistry, mathematics, civil, mechanical, electrical. Just to give an example, if I say nanoscience and engineering, you have encompass, in a nanoscience and engineering, you need physicists, you need chemists, you need mathematicians, you need electronics people, you need mechanical, you need, IT, everybody has to come together. And earth science, you need civil engineers, you need geologists, you need physicists, and so on. And neuroscience, you need biologists. And so therefore the boundary may go, always, now let me say the mechanical engineering, there are, as all of you know, flow has got 3 different types of flow. One is laminar flow, second one is boundary flow, third one is turbulence. Now COVID has made us in the turbulence, but I'm sure the institute like KSR they are not in the turbulence. I would say between the laminar is a laminar and boundary. You can easily switch over in 1 month start, 2 months to the laminar. So therefore, but you have a responsibility to make all other sister institutes to take it from, some institutes which are 5-year-old, 10-year-old, they are in turbulence. They don't have any infrastructure and any technology can be adopted so easily. IoT is another area which I'm very proud that KSR has seen a huge setup of incubation has been done. And robotics, all of you know the importance, cyber security, data science, quantum computing, 3D printing and design. And again, I'm very happy, one of the few institutions in the country that 3D printing facilities. And it's not the facilities I see in many places, utilization and then taking up challenging jobs I see in KSR. Blockchain, where engineering and management, where now things, all transactions are on there, and our whole of the economy of the world is all on the blockchain. And finally, augmented reality and virtual reality, is very important. Possibly next slide may explain to you all this. So I picked up, as I told you, about 8 technologies: AI, blockchain, genetic engineering, 3D printing, augmented, autonomous, hyperloop, and smart cities. So artificial intelligence is, I already told you the importance and then, future that we have in the years to come. And blockchain, genetic engineering, and I am very sure that in KSR I have seen biotechnology with huge projects, funded by Government of India. So I'm sure that there's an area where they can do. And I thought, one, augmented and virtual reality are very useful in creating your virtual labs. A real experiment can be conducted. Autonomous vehicle, if not in India, a reality where driverless, certainly electric vehicle is going to be in next 5-10 years. We may not have petrol and diesel, so therefore that will be an area where we can do a lot of things. Hyperloop in America, in Europe, people don't want to go for 6 hours from one country to another. They want to go in 20-30 minutes. If I want to go from, let us say, Chennai to Bangalore, it takes about 2.5 hours by flight, but they want to go in 20 minutes. So therefore, what is done is they are creating underground hyperloops where things can be much faster. They want to go as fast as one can. And then smart cities, as all of you know, there are 100 cities have been identified. So many aspects. We need civil to mechanical engineer to all works of engineers are required in making this reality in India about this smart thing. So therefore, the future of India is made in India is what we were. Product with label made in India was locally, and now we have moved made in India to make in India, where new foreign investment will come in Indian market. Jobs are created here, money will come. Now either two we used to go outside and make money for them. I think we all have to join in hand in Make in India to see that generate jobs and so on. And this all requires a digital India. As all of you know, digital infrastructure as an utility to everyone is important. Every citizen is important. Governance is after e-governance. Is all about e-governance, single window, services are on demand. Digital empowerment to citizen is to some extent happened, but long way to go. So therefore, whatever I spoke so far in terms of, now we have understood there are a lot of challenge in terms of learning, in terms of, conducting the test, exams, online exams, and therefore to do this, to achieve the quality with all these constraints in COVID, we need to work together, collaborate with each other, tolerate the differences, and respect diverse views, because none of us is as smart as all of us who are joined today in this talk. So therefore, I stop here, and I am very happy to take some questions through chat. And before I complete, and I would like to say one SMS to all of you. And the new SMS is nothing but not the conventional SMS that you send to people. The new SMS, first S is sanitizer, second is mask, and third is social distancing. In this virtual world, social distancing is already happening, and mask I don't refer, because wherever we are, if you are very in a close circle, you do wear mask, and sanitizer you use sparingly wherever if it is required. You don't have to spoil your skin. So I'm sure that we tide over this situation in a couple of months to come, and we get back to our new normal today. What we have, we get back, and then I'm sure that the blended mode that all of you are going to utilize, as Professor Tyagarajan said, the whole paradigm shift take place. So once again, I take this opportunity to thank the chairman of KSR, the vice chairman of the KSR, CEO of KSR, Professor Gopal Krishna, and Dr. Muthu Krishnan, who helped me in connecting in the afternoon and now, and all the other principals, and my dear faculty members of all the PSNA and KSR, and any others who are listening, possibly since it is in YouTube, some students may be listening, some citizens, some parents. So I wish all of them to have a great time, and all my dear students of KSR here to have a great career ahead. And thank you very much for your patience hearing, and I hope I have done something, motivated you something in changing your style of teaching and learning. Thank you, and over to Professor Gopal Krishna.
Thank you very much, sir. Participants, if you have any questions, please you can rise and you can unmute your microphone and you can ask the questions. Now it is an opportunity for interact with our professor. Any participant, you can unmute and you can raise your questions.
Silence means two things according to Sir C.V. Raman. He asked the student, are there any question? No question came forward. He said, as a teacher, there are two things which are there. One is, whatever the things that I taught, if you have understood everything, there won't be any question. If you have not understood anything at all, there will not be question. But as a teacher, I will take it that you have understood whatever I said. That's what Sir C.V. Raman said. He is a great teacher.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
This is Dr. Ilangu, Professor and Head Department of K.S.Rangasamy College of Technology, sir. Thank you so much for your wonderful explanation in challenges in good learning and assessment post-COVID-19, sir. In that topic, you had explained outcome-based education, CBCS, mappings of COs, POs, PEOs, taxonomy, etc. So thank you so much, sir. Sir, my doubt is, in order to frame quality and good syllabus contents, what is the part of CO and PO mapping, sir? Usually, course outcomes are mapped in the following three categories, like strongly contributed, medium contributed, and low contributed. And we know that all COs, all course outcomes should not strongly contributed more number of program outcomes, and in same manner, all course outcomes should not loyally contributed with a more number of program outcomes. So my question is, on what way we had to ensure that our syllabus content is a quality and a good one, sir. In that manner, how COs, how many POs has to be mapped with a single course outcome, sir. Actually, if more number of course outcomes are mapped with the program outcomes in lower contribution, automatically PO calculations has to be reduced. We are unable to meet out the program outcomes in a target level. So my question is, on what way we have to ensure our syllabus content are a quality one, sir?
Okay. Okay. Good. Thank you. Very nice question, Dr. Elangovan. So let me say, now, the statement that you made that as many POs are possible. A teacher when he's teaching first time, he may attempt 1 or 2, 3 POs only. Maybe in knowledge, maybe some design if the course is on design. Then, so a teacher is evolved as he grow. Then he will write. First year I teach, I have only 2 POs are mapping. Third year, second year when I am teaching, I will add 1 more 3. I showed you a case where communication was introduced by the data structure. You remember? So therefore, I have seen teachers who grown for last 4 years mapping. So this is the whole thing will not happen in 1 year. In the real outcome-based education, if it has to take place, it takes about 4 years. So therefore, my suggestion would be following. You touched about the curriculum, and also what is the strong, medium, and all are relative. Are you happy? A relative term. Some people, they say happy. The same question, if I ask the same person, they are not happy. So happy is a relative, like that. You are only saying strong, medium, and weak to gauge them. Okay, when do I call S grade? When do you call A grade? You have some measure. So therefore, what you do, a curriculum you design. Curriculum design is always a challenging job. So therefore, you have to benchmark in doing. You cannot expect the moon on the same day. So therefore, you make some curriculum, let us say in some 2017-18. Now you have to see over 4 years how much I have attained. You said yourself rightly as a teacher, I take a course and then I wrote CO, I map it to PO. And then these are all about the curriculum that you teach. So what in the process, I am sure that every semester at the end, you would be discussing in the department. You say, let us say, I want to attain 60%, 65%, because I know the heterogeneity of my class. So what I do, I will say I reached 55, then you are not attained. Then in the next time when I am teaching, why did I not achieve? What do I do? You have to have a strategy. Oh, is it the question paper that I said is wrong? Is it the way I am teaching is wrong? Is it the curriculum? Is there any problem in sequence? So these are all the introspection that every teacher should do at the end of each semester. That is why, at the end of each semester, you meet your board of studies, you debate and discuss. Your board of studies will have an academicians from good institution, you have an industry fellow, alumni, and so on. So therefore, carefully you choose your people, they will advise you. The syllabus curriculum is, I can give you IIT Madras curriculum. What is important is delivery of the curriculum, isn't it? So therefore, a teacher has to mature in delivering, mature in setting the question paper, mature in assessing. So therefore, to make you short, make the answer short, if you don't attain, there is no issue. It's also good. If you say I have attained something wrong, I got out 100 out of 100, I think evaluation is not correct. So you have to again go back. So therefore, attainment, if you don't do, like ISRO, I told you an example where if they fail, fail means what? Spelling FAIL. F means first, A means attempt, I means improving, L means learning. First attempt in improving the learning. So therefore, it is a process, it is a continuous, only at the end of 4 years you will. So that is why I suggest, which you may be doing, is what we call it as academic audit. In your internal quality assurance cell, once in 2 years, you have to call people from in a reputed institution. Reputed is underlined. You decide which is reputed. People who can give you good inputs. Show it to them. This is what I do. Your course file. I did one assessment, academic audit in Nagpur, where I spent 15 minutes with each teacher, not giving a lecture and then one course file. I asked them to bring the course file. I asked them what is the understanding. Did they understand at all? So this kind of an academic audit would help. What I would advise the KSR and PSNA is every semester you do internal audit. That means a mechanical can go to civil, civil can go to computer, computer can go to IT. Once in year, you can go across the college, first college to second college. In the second year, you call people from outside, spend a day, and then that expert should be able to spend with every faculty, one-on-one. Then things will improve. Okay, this is my suggestion. I think it needs to elaborate academic audit. Thank you, Dr. Elangovan, for your question. I hope I have answered you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your nice answer, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Professor Tyagarajan is sitting quiet. He can ask me something. Dr. Gopal Krishnan can ask me.
Yeah, let them ask questions, sir. I'll come in the last.
Yeah, they can ask in the chat box also if they want. If they don't want, they also can do. And they can also mail me also later. That's not a problem. That's a blended mode. Everything cannot be answered. So all the people, my email address is there with everybody there. If anything specific, please do ask me. I will assure you that I will reply. And Dr. Tyagarajan knows, before question reaches me, answer will be there. I'm prompt in answering. I do that. That's my habit. That I think everybody, any student asks you, please see that you reply back. A reply is always makes a lot of difference. Yeah.
So let us, we are coming to close. So it is a well presented webinar. And I think most of the important parts in the learning part is very well specified and you have made us to understand. The assessment part is well covered. That is starting from the MCQs or formative assessment, summative assessments, and then the rubrics and how the rubrics questions are to be framed and the MCQs and MSQs. So in that way that you have kindled our mind to think about how exactly the questions can be put in post-COVID scenario, how to assess the students, whether they have understood and whether they can apply, whether they can go for innovations and so on. So I strongly believe that the learning part takes place only if the assessment is perfect. So we have to learn. I think you are elaborately said something on the assessment part, and which is very useful to all our faculty and also the faculty of PSN. So once again, I thank you for your contributions to us and the interest that you have taken to give a lecture on the good learning as well as on the assessment part. It is for your initiative we have taken it forward so that all our faculty and the PSNA faculty can.
KSR is my institute, so therefore I volunteered.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much that you have some kind of inclination towards us and the love towards KSR thing. We are very grateful to you for having visited us 2 or 3 occasions, and now you have taken interest to give a lecture on good learning and as well as the assessment part. And Gopalakrishnan wanted to summarize what exactly have taken place in today's lecture.
Yeah, one last sentence from my side. Today, I think we should thank the PSNA for joining, and I am announcing that I will give a date sometime next week. I will be talking about new education policy 2020 and role of the autonomous institutions. So they will be hosting next time. Dr. Vasudevan has agreed, and I request all the KSR institution to join them.
Thank you, sir.
Sure, sir.
So one question. Yeah, please.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, one question in chat box. Sir, how we can effectively manage time in online classes? A question from Dr. R. Karthikeyan.
Yeah, time management is very, very important. In fact, online will make you time management. Offline will not make. I will take it in 9 o'clock class. I can go to 9:30. Here, if you say that my talk is at 6, if I come at 6:15, nobody would be there. So I think the online itself, by the virtue of online trading, online thing, online, it's like an online ticket. If you don't do, you don't get ticket in the air. you don't get ticket to go in the race. So online time management is important. I think one of the important, soft skill, let me tell, to elaborate. See, people think that, there are many skills that teachers should have, even the student. The number one, in a technical education, you should have technical skill, no doubt. You should have managerial skill. You need to have, the teamwork, how to work in a team. You need to have time management. Anyone who doesn't care for time, definitely he cannot be a good teacher. A teacher should be a role model. Already I told you, I gave some instances where if I come on time, the student definitely will come. If you start going late, the student definitely knows, oh no, teacher himself will come at 9:10, then he will come at 9:20. So therefore, I don't know whether I have answered or not. The time management is extremely important. In online, especially, much more important.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Sir, I take note 2-3 minutes note with your permission to summarize whatever I have given. Yeah, fine. Thank you. So good evening, all of you. Today we have a really wonderful session from our Shivaprakash sir. In fact, all the teaching fraternity, very well. We are teaching Gen Z generation. So that's what very well. Sir has started. It's like it was like a T20 match, because very well T20 match. A session is having 1 hour 30 minutes. So it's like full of sixes and boundaries and sixes. All the balls flow away from the field. So I just want to take without any wicket. You score it. So a lot of runs. You scored it. So I just compare this presentation with the T20 match. Started with education.
Krishnan, you are a good teacher. This analogy, if you teach like in the class, all of you, that will get in. Thank you for the compliment and a good analogy.
Thank you, sir. So it started with education 4.0 and compared it with the industry 4.0. Really, you unlocked it, because this is unlocked 4.0. So then OBE, your brief on OBE and the attributes on the graduate attributes, and what are the learning outcomes, then how it has to be aligned, because that is very, very important. Because any teaching process, there should be a kind of alignment. It should be with the instruction and assessment and the outcome. That is more important. So the faculty fraternity, we have to be very particular about it. Then apart from that, the Bloom's taxonomy, because that is the 6 parameters. Every time we have to be keep things in mind. Start from remembering, understanding, applying and analyzing, evaluation, and finally we have to ensure that the student is creating something. So that's really another thing which we have to highlight. Again, so overall, it is great input to all the faculty members related on the teaching learning process. So start with it may be a project-based learning, or it may be hands-on learning, or experience learning, or blended, or flipped classroom learning, or it may be internship based on learning. Then you also touched upon the assessment. There are 2 things which I have mentioned, sir. One is formative and another one is summative. So again, the faculty should also be like a kind of a personality. It is in a kind of art. The question paper setting, you mentioned that question paper setting is an art. So it's not only like setting in a question with an MCQ type. It is also it should set with an MSQ. That is it's not multiple choice based question. It is multiple selective based question. That's what you have mentioned. Then now we are in online aspects. A lot of tools are available to assess our students. We can use any type of assessment. You also suggested for KSR or PSNA, go for one platform. We are taking their suggestions, sir. Surely we'll have a kind of one assessment tool. Already we have a assessment tool developed by our own faculty, one Mr. Giridhan. It is called DigiPro. I think we also demonstrated it when we visited our campus.
Yes.
Yeah, another one, the another important thing, the knowledge alone will not do the things. You mentioned about the 4 parameters. One is knowledge and know-how and wisdom and character. So these are all the need of the hour and gifted. There are a lot of modern technologies also there. Innovating teaching pedagogy is also available in the day-to-day activities. Finally, I just want to add 2-3 more points. You have also given a new equation, IT plus IT is equal to IT. So that's really interesting. So people can rewind this YouTube video and they can understand that equation, how it has been derived. They can think about it. And this entire session is full of stories and examples, because that is very, very important, because you mentioned it's a teaching is an art. You also should be a role model. So lot of stories and lot of examples, and the quality, because Dr. Ilango was asking about the quality and how to map and CO and PO, because the quality is very, very important, because at the end of the day, the outcome, the product should be a quality product. So for that, you have suggested us to go for with the support of IQAC, Internal Quality Assurance Cell. So it's not only with the available faculty, you also mentioned a renowned institution. You have to call with the faculty or expert like you from a reputed institution. That's what you have mentioned. And also you mentioned another word: at any turbulence, we have to sustain. That's very, very important. Is we follow your words. Whoever can follow your words can sustain and will be able to stand still for at any situation. And also you highlighted the need of the hour, because the PM, our the Honorable Prime Minister, he used to mention "Make in India, Made in India, and Digital India." That word also you have covered, sir. That's really amazing. And also you highlighted the online tools, which currently AICT and UGC, they are highly emphasizing. It may be either Atal or it may be NEET or all these things. So it's all. That's the reason I said it's like a T20 match with all the 1 hour 30 minutes like a highlights. So thank you very much for your wonderful insights. You kindle a lot of all the teaching fraternities mind, and surely it would be a kind of eye-opening for everybody, for all of us. So if we apply all these things, then surely it would be great support for our Gen Z. Thank you very much for the opportunity. So now I request our CEO to thank you for.
No. Before CEO, I think all of you give a compliment to our Professor Gopal Krishna. That is why he is the principal. He has gone through all my 52 slides. 62 slides. Very meticulously. He was very, very attentive. If he can be like that, definitely, I'm sure in the class you will make student be like that. If you make a student at the end, see, this is what I was mentioning. If a student at the end, if he knows what he has learned, I think good teacher award goes to Professor Gopal Krishnan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. All your blessings.
So summarizing is very, very important at the end of every class and also at the end of the semester. So before I thank you, and I would like to have what the T20 matches. There are two important things which you must always notice. One is a glamour dance, and another is strategic interruption or strategic time is there. So when any student answers a question, then he must be given a cup of tea or biscuits. And if he is unable to answer a question, then you must be given a strategic timeout where he can go out and come back and discuss and answer the questions.
That is the strategy. That is the best strategy of a teacher.
So thank you so much, sir, for your for your time and wonderful presentations. And I also thank all our faculty who have attended. And perhaps that those people are not able to attend, I think we can share the slides as we can go through. And let us keep in touch with any doubts, anything that faculty can always mail it and then get an answer for their questions. So we had a wonderful time, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I wish everybody a great academic year, 2021.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Dr. Vasudevan is around? Thank you.
Oh, I think they will not be able to join.
Yes, sir, I am here, sir.
Vasudevan.
Yes, sir, I am here, sir.
Yeah, say one word, thank your host.
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
They want to see you. You please switch on your
okay, sir.
video.
Yes, sir.
You are logged in two places. Huh? No, huh?
Oh, sir, one place only, sir.
Okay. It, I think other D is Dr. Murugesh. Okay, please.
Yes.
Yeah, there he is. Another.
Sir, good evening, sir. Good evening, all.
PSNA college.
Yes, sir.
Tell you, unga comment solunga idu Vasu.
Sir, the presentation
invite
is
them for next lecture, no? That is first you do. Invite all of them for next lecture.
Excuse me, sir. The presentation is Ascent date requirements, sir. He had highlighted what are all we require Ascent date, and he had emphasized how the teaching should be there after COVID-19 impact, and he has also given in some of the slides how to do the assessments more effectively to cater the need of our outcome-based education Everything went well, sir. It will be in full useful to all our faculty, especially new faculty.
Thank you. Now invite
Thank you, sir.
KSR
Thank you
for
very
your talk. No, as a host, you will be hosting. Thank the host for today, and
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
invite for the next one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. It's our
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you very much, sir.
So thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Bye bye.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Once again,
Yes,
thanks
sir.
every one of you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
SMS to
And,
everyone.
Yeah, SMS to everyone. Yes, the new terminology SMS. Yes, Dr. Gopal Krishnan will share that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for
Thank you, sir.
sorry, I stretched almost. It is sorry,
Nearly
1 hour is not
45 minutes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. 1 hour 45 minutes.
So now all of you take some
Thank you all,
time
sir.
and have a great